wild theories about Pamela Anderson poisoning him on behalf of the Clinton campaign. On Tuesday, the government of Ecuador revealed that they were responsible and that they had cut Assange's internet access because of the Wikileaks release of emails from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, arguing that they did not want to be seen as interfering with a presidential election. The details of this decision are unclear, but the Clinton campaign has been heavily campaigning on the idea of Wikileaks' release being a Russian plot to elect Donald Trump, and the Obama administration has repeatedly presented it as an attempt to influence the election, so it's likely that the U.S. pressure was involved in Ecuador's decision. WikiLeaks reports that Ecuador cut Assange's internet access almost immediately following the organization's release of paid speeches Clinton gave to Goldman Sachs. The group has insisted that it has contingency plans in place and that Assange's temporary loss of access will not impact its operation. Ecuador granted Assange political asylum in 2012, citing calls from U.S. officials to assassinate him. He has been staying in the Ecuadorian embassy in London since then, as Britain is seeking to arrest him over a Swedish warrant related to an ongoing investigation and has not let him travel to Ecuador from the embassy grounds.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
UPI reports crews are battling 3 fires in Colorado that have scorched thousands of acres and prompted evacuations. Warm weather and high winds are fueling the fires. 2 fires are south of Denver, the Junkins Fire and the Talcott Fire, and 1 is west of the city, the Freeman Fire. TJ Steck, fire chief with the Elizabeth Fire Protection District, 46 miles southeast of Denver, told the Denver Channel, "We don't have a fire season. The fire comes at any time of the year for us." In the case of the Junkins Fire, more than 175 homes have been evacuated and roughly 70 more are on pre-evacuation. That fire had grown to nearly 16,000 acres as of Monday night and had burned nearly 129 homes in the evacuation area, according to Custer County Office of Emergency Management. At least 1 home and 5 outbuildings had been destroyed. The Freeman Fire, which began Saturday afternoon in Eagle County, was estimated at 300 acres and 40% contained Monday evening. It is burning in the White River National Forest and no evacuations have yet been ordered. In El Paso County, the 14-acre Talcott Fire was spotted Monday afternoon. Residents in about a dozen homes were briefly evacuated but allowed to return Monday evening.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal judge in San Francisco on Tuesday said he was strongly inclined to approve a record-setting $10.033 billion proposed buyback and compensation offer from Volkswagen for 475,000 owners of polluting 2.0-liter diesel vehicles. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said he will issue a final decision on the matter by October 25th, stemming from Volkswagen's use of illegal software to defeat U.S. emissions testing. Owners, lawyers, and others appeared before Breyer during a hearing, raising arguments about why they think Volkswagen has failed to offer enough money for buybacks or refunding for other out-of-pocket costs like extended warranties, maintenance, and government licensing fees. Breyer said he would consider the objections before deciding whether to recommend any changes, but added that it was imperative to act quickly. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This week, badly shaken researchers reported observing an osprey stalking, killing, and devouring an adult male lion in what is being called a massive food chain shakeup. Confirmation of the 3-pound marine bird consuming the 400-pound feline has biologists scrambling to determine the new predator-prey connections between the planet's billions of organisms.
We seem to be experiencing some sort of cross-species dietary free-for-all.
Scientists say that the killing of the healthy, full-grown lion by a typical osprey specimen has lent credibility to research recent reports of a deer seen grazing on a nest of squirrels in Wisconsin, as well as a claim made by a group of Japanese fishermen who say they witnessed 300 million krill devouring a 40-ton humpback whale. In other news, NASA acquires the moon for an upcoming Kennedy Space Center exhibit. A radio DJ invites the whole town to some bullshit, and assuming the many universes theory of quantum mechanics is accurate, the review you've just seen will remain relevant in another reality for all eternity. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course, you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype as well. The Skype username is lrn.fm, and in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
So I want to start out the show tonight with a couple stories about your identity and your privacy. This one's coming from Forbes magazine. Thomas Fox Brewster reporting in what's believed to be an unprecedented attempt to bypass the security of Apple iPhones or any smartphone that uses fingerprints to unlock. California's top cops asked to enter a residence and force anyone inside to use their biometric information to open their mobile devices. Now, they were asking a judge, just to be clear. They weren't just asking the residents to let them in and then forced them to give up their information. Forbes found a court filing dated May 9th of this year in which the Department of Justice sought to search a Lancaster, California property. But there was a more remarkable aspect of the search, as pointed out in the memorandum. Quote, authorization to depress the fingerprints and thumbprints of every person who is located at the subject premises during the execution of the search and who is reasonably believed by law enforcement to be the user of a fingerprint sensor-enabled device that is located at the subject premises and falls within the scope of the warrant. Unquote.
Okay.
The warrant was not available to the public, nor were other documents related to the case.
So wouldn't this be essentially what a warrant's for? I mean, a warrant is to describe the particular things to be searched, what they're searching for. I presume in the warrant they were specific on what they were searching for. I mean, you know, obviously with this warrant they can search through filing cabinets, right, on the premises.
Sure.
So this may be the first time that they've demanded biometric information to access an iPhone, but have they never requested biometric information to access a safe? I mean, there are certainly safes out there that are thumbprint oriented, right? I mean, I've seen them in the movies.
Well, they could request it, but ultimately, you know, if the person does not give that information up, you would think that they would have to bust into the safe in that case. Yeah,
they would have to bust into the safe in that case, and they're going to look in the safe. So you're saying the difference in this circumstance is you can't bust into an iPhone.
Not as easily.
Yeah. So,
not with a crowbar.
I mean, I would think that they could force you to give over a key. They can try to force you to give over a password. I mean, you wouldn't have to. If you've got biometric information like a fingerprint, they can. This is one of the reasons I prefer a password or some kind of swipe code or whatever, because your fingerprint they can take from you. They can't take a password. They can make you very uncomfortable to the point that you give it up, but they can't take it.
This case rings a bell to me. I feel like there's been another case where they were able to force people to open devices, where it was ruled, you know, a justifiable search or whatever, that, you know, they could actually force someone to use their fingerprint or their retina scan or whatever it was, some sort of biometric
I can't
info.
say I find it shocking in today's political climate or in any of them. And to me, it sounds like it falls within the scope of constitutionality. If they claim, you know, if they claim that they've got good enough reasons for a warrant, I've got a judge's signature and I'm describing the particular places and things to be searched and what's to be searched for, then I can demand
but
your
they're not
thumbprint.
saying that. They're saying that they're going to search everyone who has a phone in there.
On the premises.
On the premises.
So those are particular things to be searched.
No, that's not saying what they're searching for. If they're searching for some kind of file.
You didn't read the whole warrant.
Well, it's not available. You can't read the whole. You can't read that. The story says you cannot. The public cannot get the warrant. It's sealed.
I see the problem with sealed warrants. We're not talking about sealed warrants, Sarah.
In this case, we are.
Okay, I am not talking about sealed warrants. Let's presume for a second the warrant is unsealed and it says we're looking for drugs. Okay.
Okay. Well, they're not going to find that in the phone.
They may find information on more, like drug deals and things like that.
Yeah, but that's not drugs. That would not qualify.
If we claim that they are drug dealers, then look, I'm not arguing for this, Ian.
Well, if it's a drug deal,
I'm simply claiming that it's constitutional.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because if you are saying that you're looking for a drug dealer, then it's not likely that every single person in the house is a drug dealer. If you have a suspicion as to if, John Smith is a drug dealer, then you can get a warrant to, confiscate John Smith's phone and search it. But ultimately, the issue here is forcing somebody to unlock their phone.
Okay, well, let's say, would you find it constitutional if they took a fingerprint and said, we're going to get John Smith's thumbprint and make John Smith open his phone on the premises because we believe that John Smith is a dirty, stinking drug dealer, and we're going to find out by looking at his texts? Would that be specific enough for you?
Well, again,
because I just don't think that iPhones are magic. I think that they are a particular thing to be searched.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, but this wasn't a particular warrant in any way, shape, or form. They were just wholesale searching phones of everybody on the premises.
Okay, so your problem isn't that it's using thumbprints. Your problem is that it's not specific on whose thumbprint and which phone.
I would say that's one of the problems with this warrant, one of the things that makes it unconstitutional, yes.
Okay.
And I also think that people should not be forced to give over codes to secretive devices.
Oh, I don't think we should have a drug war, but in a world where you do have one, you're going to more often stress the boundaries of the Constitution. In this case, I am not impressed. So, for instance, if they believed that this house was housing terrorists who were building a dirty bomb, they were able to show a judge enough evidence to be able to get a warrant, and I mean a real judge that has real jurisdiction, that has that believes that there's a real burden of proof in order to get a warrant. Then I wouldn't have personally a particular problem with the whole thumbprint of whoever's on the site.
So I do have a problem with forcing people to reveal passwords because essentially it's a violation of their right to right against self-incrimination. And so, you should not be forced to speak. Of course, this is a way around that. If you have a thumbprint-coded phone, then you aren't speaking. They're just putting your thumb on the phone, and they, if they knock you out, they could certainly do that. In this case, they are just, seeking the authorization to press your thumb to the phone, and, the judge granted that. So this is a warning to anybody that uses the thumbprint security method.
Absolutely. I don't think that I can see why people want to use the thumbprint method. Is probably pretty effective for a lot of circumstances, but when it comes to dealing with the authorities, they're going to be able to get into your phone relatively easily, and there probably needs to be some other form of security on the phone. I can see why you'd want to use it. Let's say you're at home, and the last time you checked your phone was within the past hour. Then, I can see why you wouldn't want the extra form of security.
According to the memorandum signed off by the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Eileen Decker, the government asked for even more than just fingerprints. Quote, while the government does not know ahead of time the identity of every digital device or fingerprint, indeed every other piece of evidence that it will find in the search, it has demonstrated probable cause that evidence may exist at the search location and needs the ability to gain access to those devices and maintain that access to search them. For that reason, the warrant authorizes the seizure of passwords, encryption keys, and other access devices that may be necessary to access the device, said the document. Legal experts were shocked at the government's request. They want the ability to get a warrant on the assumption that they will learn more after they have a warrant, said Marina Medved of Medvin Law. She said further, quote, essentially, they're seeking to have the ability to convince people to comply by providing their fingerprints to law enforcement under the color of law because of the fact that they already have a warrant. They want to leverage this warrant to induce compliance by people that they decide are suspects later on. This would be an unbelievably audacious abuse of power if it were permitted. Jennifer Lynch, the senior staff attorney at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, said further, quote, it's not enough for a government to just say, we have a warrant to search this house, and therefore this person should unlock their phone. The government needs to say specifically what information they expect to find on the phone, which is one of the points I was making, how that relates to criminal activity, and I would argue that they need to set up a way to access only the information that is relevant to the investigation. We'll continue with what the EFF has to say about this, because the more they can get away with these violations of people's privacy, the more they're going to continue to do so. It's a good thing we've got the Electronic Frontier Foundation out there.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Go to GCNteam.com or call 855-GCN-MALL. That's 855-426-6255. GCNteam.com or 855-426-6255. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well, so Skype on in here at username LRN.FM.
I think we'd all agree that healthcare in this country has some real problems with the recent changes, and frankly, it had plenty of problems before that too. What we need is a healthcare system that focuses on health and not sickness. Now, sure, health insurance pays for treating sickness, but it gives you nothing for being healthy. And doesn't that, in fact, incentivize sickness instead of health? Well, there's a free market healthcare company that can give you freedom from health insurance. It's called Health Excellence Select. You can find them at healthexcellenceselect.com. They give you a proactive health assessment daily if you need it, and no charge 24-hour access to doctors. I'm just pointing out some of the things that health insurance companies don't have that they really do. Now, HIPAA's messed up all the medical records so much so that one doctor doesn't know what the next one's doing. Well, they give you a medical information card that you can give to EMS or first responders, emergency room, or whatever medical professional you want. That's a pretty big deal. When you can get that kind of information given on a card, it could be game-changing. I don't know why somebody isn't doing this already. You can check them out right now, healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, massage. You'll love the service and the price. And by the way, yes, if you are paying for your own health care, you need to check them out. healthexcellenceselect.com. It's healthexcellenceselect.com.
So we're talking about a disturbing warrant application out in California, and presumably this actually happened. But this application was requesting the ability to go into a physical location and confiscate the phones or electronic devices of everyone in there, and then use force to coerce people to press their fingers onto whatever fingerprint reader their phone has so they could then access whatever was inside. And as Jennifer Lynch from the Electronic Frontier Foundation points out, she says that the government needs to say specifically what information they expect to find on a specific phone held by a specific person, meaning that, you can't just go into, a school or wherever and just wholesale search everybody's phones in there just because they happen to be in the building in which you got the warrant to search. She says further they need to say specifically the information they expect to find on the phone and how that relates to criminal activity. And she says further she'd argue that they need to set up a way to access only the information that's relevant to the investigation. She says also the warrant has to be particular in how it describes the place to be searched and the thing to be seized and limited in scope. That's why if a government suspects criminal activity to be happening on a property and there are 50 apartments in that property, they have to specify which apartment and why and what it is that they expect to find there.
Yeah, but they don't have to specify which room, and they don't have to specify necessarily. So if, 5 of us live in the same apartment, they're claiming that, I don't think that if you've got a room, I've got a room, and whatever, basically they just come into, they just shake the whole place down.
Unless the rooms are individually numbered and individually locked, then they would probably need a warrant for each individual room.
Yeah, probably.
While the Department of Justice declined to comment on the case, Forbes was able to contact a resident at the property in question, but they refused to provide details on the investigation. They did, however, indicate that the warrant was served. The person said, quote, "They should never have come to my house," unquote. In an attempt to protect the residents' privacy, Forbes has chosen to censor the address from the memorandum and concealed their name. But the document is public. Search hard enough and you'll find it. The person said, "I didn't know about it until it was served. My family and I are trying to let this pass over because it was embarrassing to us and should have never happened." They said neither they nor any relatives living at the address had ever been accused of being a part of any crime, but declined to offer more information. "We've never seen anything like this," added one of the attorneys. Indeed, the memorandum has revealed the first known attempt by the government to acquire fingerprints of multiple individuals in a certain location to unlock smartphones. And maybe that's what's different, because, again, this rang a bell to me. I felt like there's already been an established case where the government can force a suspect to open their phone with a fingerprint. I believe we've talked about that on this show.
I would think that they could.
So what's different about this is it's the first attempt to acquire fingerprints of multiple individuals in a specific location.
Yeah, I'm certainly not rooting for them, but I'm not surprised.
The document also showed the government isn't afraid of getting inventive to bypass the security of modern smartphones. Faced with the growing technical difficulties of unlocking phones, the government has sought to find new legal measures, allowing them easy routes in. Hence the All Writs Act order that demanded Apple open the iPhone 5C of San Bernardino shooter Syed Farouk. But with Apple refusing to comply with the order and pushback from the likes of Google and Microsoft, cops are increasingly looking to fingerprints as one option for searching smartphones.
I don't even know that my phone has this option. I probably wouldn't use it, but it's weird.
Forbes revealed earlier this year one of the first known warrants demanding a suspect to press their fingerprints to open an iPhone, which was filed by Los Angeles police in February. This publication also uncovered a case in May where feds investigating an alleged sex trafficking racket wanted access to a suspect's iPhone 5S with his fingerprints. Both were ultimately unsuccessful in opening the devices. The Michigan State Police Department had more luck this summer by asking a university professor to create a fake fingerprint that could unlock a Samsung Galaxy S6. The team succeeded. He told Forbes in July the same techniques worked on an iPhone 6 and a Samsung S7. The memorandum, which specifically named Apple, Samsung, Motorola, and HTC as manufacturers of fingerprint-based authentication, outlined the government's argument that taking citizens' fingerprints or thumbprints without permission violated neither the Fifth or Fourth Amendment. In past interpretations of the Fifth, suspects have not been compelled to hand over their passcode, as it could amount to self-incrimination. But the same protections have not been afforded for people's body data, even if the eventual effect is the same. Citing a Supreme Court decision, Schmerber versus California, a 1966 case in which the police took a suspect's blood without his consent, the government said that self-incrimination protections would not apply to the use of a person's, quote, body as evidence when it may be material.
Was that person forced to supply information? Because as I understand, DNA is information. So I would disagree with the court's interpretation in that circumstance.
Well, unfortunately, you're not sitting on that court, so it doesn't really matter. It also cited Holt versus...
Don't worry, I'll never have an opportunity because libertarians don't vote.
Right. Holt versus the United States, a 1910 case, and another one in 1973, States versus Dionisio, though it did point to more recent cases where the defendant was compelled to provide his fingerprint to unlock a device. As for the fourth, the Fed said protections against unreasonable searches did not stand up when, quote, the taking of fingerprints is supported by reasonable suspicion. Other cases, dated well before the advent of smartphones, were used to justify any brief detention that would arise from forcing someone to open their device with a fingerprint. I mean, after all, if you could prevent the government from taking your fingerprints, then that would cause a lot of problems at any police booking area.
Sure.
I mean, the fingerprints, even though it's very close to your body, is not inside your mind. And so I can understand why the courts would justify being able to force someone to use a fingerprint to unlock a phone. The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, and you can join us here, 855-450-3733. But it's not just about fingerprints tonight. There's also a new study out about facial recognition systems threatening the privacy of millions of people, and The Intercept has that story. But you can share your thoughts. Take control of the airwaves here, 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Teens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's A-G-O-R-I-S-T, hosting.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and of course you can bring up anything you want. We're talking about your privacy, which, well, basically doesn't exist. You have to take some steps. You have to take some effort to actually achieve any level of privacy. You don't get it by default. Even though you supposedly have a right to it, that doesn't mean that you automatically have it. So if you have a right to privacy, that just means you have the right to achieve as much as you possibly can. You don't actually have privacy by default. So there are different steps that you can take to be more private, and we've been over some of those before here on the show. There's some tools, for instance, for your phone that people like Edward Snowden have recommended, like PGP. Well, I guess that's not for your phone, but maybe there's some PGP for your phone, but I've never used it. But Snowden recommends PGP for encrypted communications. He also recommends the app Signal. So it's a free app. It's called Signal. You can download it for Android or iPhone devices.
It's just another texting app rather than the...
But it's encrypted texting.
Yeah, well, it's the texting app that you have on your phone isn't as good as Signal. Signal is better.
And Signal's also encrypted calls, so you can actually make phone calls that are encrypted.
Yeah, I've used that feature, and it works really well.
It works pretty well. I mean, if there's enough data, you got to have a good data connection to make that possible.
Yeah.
But anyway, so those are a couple of options for you. But ultimately, another thing that you want to keep in mind is what we're learning from this story is the net just keeps getting tighter. Right? They had the justification to take someone's thumb and depress it against their phone previously in individual cases, in individual search warrants. They were given that justification, and the courts agreed.
They're going to use it.
And they're going to use it. And now they're saying, oh, well, now we just want this warrant for this location, and anyone who's inside that location, we want the ability to force them to unlock their phone with their thumbprint. And apparently that warrant was served on the household in question, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation is saying that's not okay. You've got to have specifics in a warrant. If you're looking for some sort of specific electronic file, then you have to say on whose phone and what it is you're looking for.
And I'd like to point out, because this is really important for those out there that are like, they hate to see the bad guys win. And I don't like to see the bad guys win either. But if these folks upon whom this warrant was served are, not guilty of anything, their case against the state is going to be more difficult to prosecute. They're going to have a more difficult time getting their way in this, which is to say, to prevent the government from ever asking for one of these things again. They're not going to be able to establish the case law in the same way that somebody who was, had a texting app full of drug deals or whatever, then, in that case, you have the drug dealer, and that much is certain. But the drug dealer obviously has a case because they're going to go to jail if they don't win. So this is one of the reasons why our court systems, has developed over time by cases from guilty people. And that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And it's not like the people on the the government side are saying, what we want? We want a court system that protects people's individual rights.
No.
Or, well, maybe if they do say that, they're just lying.
Yeah, the rights just get in their way. They want to have total control over you and every one of your devices, and things like fingerprints and passcodes stand in their way. But the passcodes really stand in their way because they have to get that out of your mind, and that's a lot harder to coerce. Whereas the fingerprints are just, they got to grab your arm and push it downward. So a little bit more here. The justifications, the excuses for this by the government didn't wash with the experts that Forbes interviewed. One of them from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Of the Fourth Amendment argument, Medvin said the police don't have the right to search a person or place in hopes of justifying the search later as reasonable.
That's true.
That's not how the Fourth Amendment works. You need to have a reasonable basis before you begin the search, and that reasonable basis is what allows you to search in the first place. The reason I'm so concerned about this, said another one of the attorneys, Lynch, is that it's so broad in scope, and the government is relying on these outdated cases to give it access to this amazing amount of information. The part the government is ignoring here is the vast amount of data that's on the phone. If this kind of thing became law, then there would be nothing to prevent a search of every phone at a certain location.
Yeah, basically the government could just start writing warrants saying we're looking for such and such in this place, and we have a reasonable belief that we're going to find it, and we want to find, check everybody's phone there for illegal activity, and then they can go in and bloop, 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 find out everything illegal you've done, and they've cast a very wide net. That's the purpose of the Fourth and Fifth Amendments in the Bill of Rights, is to prevent this kind of police state behavior.
Something else you'll want to consider if you have a phone and if you're not passcoded, you should add one. You should add one right away, because even if the government doesn't get your phone, you could leave it somewhere. You could leave it sitting on a bathroom stall or something like that, sitting anywhere that you might happen to be using the phone. Just absentmindedly put it down and walk away from it, and then somebody else comes up, and then they just power it up and then swipe the little unlock. They get right in there, get access to your Bitcoin wallet. If you didn't passcode that too, get access to your email box, which of course gives you access to anyone's accounts on whatever it is they have accounts on. So passcoding your phone is not just a good idea to keep the government out, but just to keep common criminals out of it as well. And of course, the more digits you have in the passcode, the safer you are from a brute force cracking attempt.
So I've got a passcode on my phone. Mainly the reason is because of the Bitcoins, and I could leave it someplace. But I got to say, it's inconvenient
to have a passcode. Yeah,
most of the time, I'm using my phone. I'm at work or at home.
Right.
But I repeat myself, right? Most of the time I'm working from home, and then I come here. And so, you're talking about the vast majority of my day, I am in one of those two locations. I'm reasonably certain that, you and the people who are in the studio aren't going to do anything with my phone. My wife, if she wanted to do something with the phone, she could do anything she wanted.
There's some sort of system that I think Google added in where it'll geographically know where you are and leave your phone unlocked in that place.
They do.
That still gives you a danger from police searching your phone.
It's true if they come into the house and take a look. So I keep it. I keep a passcode, but a passcode. The more difficult it is to enter a passcode,
the more frustrating.
The more crappy it is, right? Like the better security, but the crappier it is.
There's always a price to pay for privacy, Mark, and that price is inconvenience, typically. Sometimes an actual cost of dollars. Let's go to Patrick in Arizona, listening to K-Talks. Patrick, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Hey, guys. Hey, I got a question for you. Maybe you can answer this, because I know, we have to, at our work, being in law enforcement, we actually have to check out a phone. It's assigned to us, and then we aren't really allowed to use our personal phones. But in the particular case of what you were talking about, fingerprints, this is something to think about. Most of the companies and even the city workers and everything else use a fingerprint hooked up to your time card, or your ID, your official ID where you punch in and punch out. And the fact that that whole data system is huge in the U.S. now, due to everybody using it, is the federal government, you think, going to go after the big corporations for that database? Because you were talking about fingerprints unlocking, cell phones and different securities and everything else. But when you were talking about that, I automatically thought about that because, just in what I do, everybody has their fingerprint. Of course, I'm in the system already, but if they were to go after these big companies that, have millions of people like Walmart uses it, all these other major
I see what you're saying. You're saying, could the government take the databases or download in some way these databases that these corporations have of their employees' fingerprints? And I would say, of course they could. And they could certainly get a warrant probably to get at the very least some of the information. If not, these corporations, a lot of them will just roll over and do whatever it is the government even just asks of them to do. So
not even without
they may just do it just because they asked nicely. Patrick, thanks for your call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Join us on Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Investment Rarities, a 43-year-old company, has created the best silver offer ever. Get a U.S. Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Austrian Philharmonic, OPM Pure Bar, and Silver Round. Have all 5 for $99 postpaid. You heard me right, 5 ounces of silver below cost. No credit card fees, free shipping. Just $99 and you'll have a great start on what it takes to survive even the worst economic storm. Act now and receive Jim Cook's exclusive paper explaining how it's possible to make a fortune in silver today. Don't miss this opportunity. Call 800-328-1860. Read how the above-ground supply of silver has dropped below even gold. The secret is being suppressed. The price could explode at any time. Call today at 800-328-1860. Get 5 ounces of silver for only $99. Find them on the web at investmentrarities.com or call 800-328-1860. Call now before it's too late. 800-328-1860.
Attention CPAP users. Stop the insanity and torture of your CPAP mask. Don't you hate the skin irritation and terrible leaks? Jump on the CPAP Pro train, invented by an actual CPAP user that became so frustrated with CPAP masks. Are you ready to try something new? With absolutely no straps or headgear? Go to nomask.com and get the best night's sleep ever. Free to Medicare patients. Go to nomask.com. That's NOMASK.com.
If your home has hard water, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes, damaging your appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars each year. You can eliminate limescale in the entire house with HydroCare products available at Wave Home Solutions. Easy and efficient with no maintenance, no salts, no chemicals, and no coils. And you can buy with confidence from Wave Home Solutions. Performance guaranteed. Just go to bestwater411.com. That's bestwater411.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us here toll-free, 855-450-FREE. And, of course, you can bring up anything that you want. You can take control of the airwaves. We're talking about what little bit of privacy you have left. And it's pretty much whatever it is you eke out for yourself. You got to take time. You got to take effort to be private. And, of course, that time and that effort, and in some cases money, can be inconvenient. And that is one of the reasons why people choose to not be private, because it is much more convenient to just put it all out there or to just make it so you have no security whatsoever. But then if something bad happens, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Indeed.
So we can talk more about those things. And, of course, you can take control and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We've got Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM. Now, if you had but one day to teach someone about economics, what would you tell them? Well, if you don't have an answer, that's okay, because for over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been providing free resources to teachers and students. Their newest course, Economics in One Day, will give you a breadth and depth of knowledge on how economics works that you'll be able to teach to others. Fee gives you tools for that as well. Take Economics in One Day now for free over their website, fee.org/FTL, and learn key economic concepts, the inspiring vision that the market economy brings, and the challenges that government solutions face. Start today at no charge at fee.org/FTL. That's FEE, as in Foundation for Economic Education, FEE.org/FTL, and learn why entrepreneurship matters. You got no risk here. This costs you nothing to get started over at fee.org/FTL. All right, let's go back to your calls and thoughts. We've got, let's see here, Modern Drummer is on the line via Skype. Hello, Modern Drummer.
I keep hearing that people maybe shouldn't vote, or not that they shouldn't vote, but one reason to not vote is that your vote doesn't matter. And I think that that is a bit of a dishonest truth. Well, it's true that my one vote in Wisconsin isn't going to turn it red or blue. I think that if, say, 20 million people believe that their vote doesn't matter and so they stay home, that becomes a self-fulfilling thing. You see where I'm coming from?
I see it, but I mean...
I agree. And, Mark, you're the person on the show that makes the argument that your vote is statistically insignificant.
It is statistically insignificant.
You generally only argue it in the case of someone claiming that they don't want to vote for a third party, and you use that as evidence that they should, because what's it matter which way they vote? But on the other hand, that could also be used as an argument against voting entirely.
So voting and not voting are both collectivist activities, right? So they have collectivist and individualistic aspects. The individualistic aspect of voting is that your vote doesn't matter statistically. You can make it matter more by voting for a third party and sort of driving their numbers up, as opposed to, voting for one of the major parties and then just, essentially wasting your vote. Because if you vote for one of the major parties and they lose, then all those votes were, pointless. If you voted for a major party and they won, every vote above the vote that caused them to win was pointless. Whereas for a third party, they're usually trying to get numbers and percentages so that they can get benefits like ballot access and inclusion in debates and those kind of things. So basically, when I make the argument from that standpoint that your vote can be more valuable by voting for a minor party. So, but the fact is that your individual vote doesn't matter. What people have to run to on both sides, the claim that you shouldn't vote, the claim that you should vote, is kind of this, well, what if 20,000 people do such and such? And, what if 20,000 people do such and such? It has nothing to do with me. That's like blaming me as a Nader voter in 2000 for the fact that George Bush became president and the Iraq War and then everything that came beyond that, because 530-something other voters voted for Nader, that somehow I'm responsible for Ralph Nader, throwing the election towards Bush. And that's armchair quarterbacking. That's the presumption that we can move people's votes around the board like a chessboard, like a chess master.
Well, I would say that that as far as blame goes, that the candidates themselves need to give people the reason to vote for them. So if they lose by 1 vote or 1 million votes, that's up to them. But I would also say that in this case, if I had a really strong third candidate, I would maybe do that. But Gary Johnson inspires me about as much as a mud puddle.
So what are you going to do?
So he's going to vote for Trump.
Well, I'm going to vote for Trump. Yes.
Interesting.
Because he inspires you more than a mud puddle.
Well, what I'll say is this: is that I'm not, when I vote for candidates, I try to. I mean, certainly personality has an effect on everybody, but
sure. I
try to vote for policy. I don't want a war with Russia, and I want to stay out of all foreign entanglements. I want, I want a suppression of political correctness. And let's see, there's others, but I've got stage fright, so I can't think of them.
That's all right. You've done great.
One of the value, if I can speak about Trump as having value, one of the values I find for him is he's basically a disruptive force. there's often some kind of evolution that'll go on if you have a disruption in the political process. Hillary Clinton isn't going to be disruptive at all.
Nope.
Hillary Clinton is
She
going to
knows
be,
all the players, fit right in.
business as usual. It's going to be the third, essentially the third Obama, presidency, the third term, and fourth likely.
Or the fifth Bush presidency.
I disagree with you.
Because Obama really wasn't that different from Bush.
I disagree with you on that subject. I think Obama is different than Bush. Bush certainly wasn't going to create the ACA. All right, that the few weeks that went on where it was all Democrats, House, Senate, White House, that really made a difference in the political landscape in the United States. But I don't think Clinton's going to get any mileage. She's going to have all Republicans in the House, likely Republicans in the Senate.
How do you know that?
It's just prediction.
Okay.
It's a well, look, Ian, you'll sit over there and you'll say that Gary Johnson won't win, but somehow my prediction.
Not going to win.
Fine. But of course, the Republicans aren't going to lose the House.
Well, I don't know how you can predict that. I mean, obviously anybody can win.
It looks like they're not going to lose the House
races. I don't go by what polls say. I don't think it's particularly useful.
Polls are particularly, tend to be pretty close to on the money.
I don't know about that. Go ahead. Anything else you want to share tonight, Modern Drummer?
Ron Paul, please come back.
He's not getting any younger. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's a shame old Rand Paul didn't follow in his father's footsteps, because he really could have gotten people excited this time around. And, instead, those of us who really love liberty have been saddled with Gary Johnson, who doesn't really even... doesn't seem to embrace the non-aggression principle. Maybe he understands it, but he certainly doesn't talk about it on the campaign trail, which is a big disappointment, I think, for a lot of people. And Rand Paul, of course, did not really carry his father's torch in any way, shape, or form. He even dropped out before the New Hampshire primary, if I'm recalling correctly. What a disappointment.
It was a big disappointment for me that he dropped out, but...
So, your solution is not going to come at the federal level. Whatever it is, there's not going to be some man who's going to come there and save, or woman who's going to come in there and save Washington, D.C., turn the ship of state around, reduce the government's involvement in our lives, reduce regulations. I mean, just stop hoping for it. Stop working towards it and start working towards secession as soon as we can possibly acquire it.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a big fan of secession. That's not really where I'm looking. I'm looking more for a nullification situation. But
more people are going to be open to secession in about a month's time, I think.
Yeah, I suspect you're right.
Whoever they are.
But if you believe in the ideas of liberty, you've probably been told, and you've expressed those opinions to people, you've probably been told to leave the United States.
Mm-hmm. If you don't like it, leave.
If you don't like it, leave. Likely you've been told to move to Somalia, where they have good old-fashioned anarchy, which is what you're looking for, which, of course, is ridiculous. It's a failed state that's been undermined by the UK, the US, and the UN for had its governments for 2 decades. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anybody who says that is obviously not very familiar with foreign policy and these sorts of things. But that's fine. They've got their idea. And I think that at the core, the kernel of it, there's some truth. And the truth is that, well, I mean, if you want something different, chances are you can't continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So I picked up and moved from Florida, which I expected to continue to do the things that it was doing without my vote mattering at all. And I moved to New Hampshire for more liberty around a bunch of people who are doing the same thing.
Coming up, your calls, thoughts, if you want to join us here. Also, apparently it's debate night, so maybe we'll check in with the debates. I presume
time to get lied to.
I presume they start at 9 o'clock Eastern time, but we'll figure all that out as we go on. And you can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
The Blockchain Education Network has had a busy fall semester introducing, educating, and giving away Bitcoin. The initiative believes wholeheartedly that students should understand cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Now the organization is ramping up its efforts to educate the academic masses, offering a bounty to students who help build a syllabus. The Blockchain Education Network has set aside a total of 4 Bitcoin to divide between students who add content. To learn more, go to news.bitcoin.com. That's news.bitcoin.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $5 higher at $1,271 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents higher at $17.71 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $632 US. Robertson Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.66 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $640. Antiwar.com reports questions about Wikileaks founder Julian Assange's sudden disappearance from the internet over the weekend sparked a flurry of speculation, including some particularly wild theories about Pamela Anderson poisoning him on behalf of the Clinton campaign. On Tuesday, the government of Ecuador revealed that they were responsible and that they had cut Assange's internet access because of the Wikileaks release of emails from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, arguing that they did not want to be seen as interfering with a presidential election. The details of this decision are unclear, but the Clinton campaign has been heavily campaigning on the idea of WikiLeaks' release being a Russian plot to elect Donald Trump, and the Obama administration has repeatedly presented it as an attempt to influence the election, so it's likely that the U.S. pressure was involved in Ecuador's decision. WikiLeaks reports that Ecuador cut Assange's internet access almost immediately following the organization's release of paid speeches Clinton gave to Goldman Sachs. The group has insisted that it has contingency plans in place and that Assange's temporary loss of access will not impact its operation. Ecuador granted Assange political asylum in 2012, citing calls from U.S. officials to assassinate him. He has been staying in the Ecuadorian embassy in London since then, as Britain is seeking to arrest him over a Swedish warrant related to an ongoing investigation and has not let him travel to Ecuador from the embassy grounds.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
UPI reports crews are battling 3 fires in Colorado that have scorched thousands of acres and prompted evacuations. Warm weather and high winds are fueling the fires. 2 fires are south of Denver, the Junkins Fire and the Talcott Fire, and 1 is west of the city, the Freeman Fire. TJ Steck, fire chief with the Elizabeth Fire Protection District, 46 miles southeast of Denver, told the Denver Channel, "We don't have a fire season. The fire comes at any time of the year for us." In the case of the Junkins Fire, more than 175 homes have been evacuated and roughly 70 more are on pre-evacuation. That fire had grown to nearly 16,000 acres as of Monday night and had burned nearly 129 homes in the evacuation area, according to Custer County Office of Emergency Management. At least 1 home and 5 outbuildings had been destroyed. The Freeman Fire, which began Saturday afternoon in Eagle County, was estimated at 300 acres and 40% contained Monday evening. It is burning in the White River National Forest in No evacuations have yet been ordered. In El Paso County, the 14-acre Talcott fire was spotted Monday afternoon. Residents in about a dozen homes were briefly evacuated but allowed to return Monday evening.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal judge in San Francisco on Tuesday said he was strongly inclined to approve a record-setting $10.033 billion proposed buyback and compensation offer from Volkswagen for 475,000 owners of polluting 2.0-liter diesel vehicles. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said he will issue a final decision on the matter by October 25th, stemming from Volkswagen's use of illegal software to defeat U.S. emissions testing. Owners, lawyers, and others appeared before Breyer during a hearing raising arguments about why they think Volkswagen has failed to offer enough money for buybacks or refunding for other out-of-pocket costs like extended warranties, maintenance, and government licensing fees. Breyer said he would consider the objections before deciding whether to recommend any changes, but added that it was imperative to act quickly. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Here is the Onion Weekend Review Transportation Edition. In Albany, a Greyhound bus crash claimed 30 miserable lives Tuesday, finally putting over 24 deadbeat fathers, penniless drug addicts, and hapless bastards out of their misery. Emergency crews at the scene of the merciful accident described the sea of fast food bags, candy bar wrappers, and losing lottery tickets surrounding the crash site as utterly tragic, adding that the scorched corpses inside the bus were, quote, only slightly more lifeless than before the deadly accident.
Evidence suggests that most of the victims suffered during the crash, and for many years before they even boarded the bus. All I can say is, thank God no one made it.
Al-Qaeda is refusing to carry out any further terrorist attacks until the U.S. mass transportation infrastructure is drastically improved, calling the country's roads and bridges a, quote, travesty, unbecoming of a developed first world nation.
We want to turn your bridges into rubble. But if we took credit for making them collapse, no one would ever believe us.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. It is an interesting time in which we live where information is so available. It's so just constant out there. You can have as much of it as you want. You can have as much bad information as you want too.
I'm not sure that would even be called information.
Because you aren't being informed?
Misinformation?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think there's an argument there. Well, anyway, there's a lot of data out there, and you can have as much of it as you want in whatever form that you want, and it's really an unprecedented time in our lives. But around that subject comes the issue of privacy. Because, well, the fact is, even if you think you don't have something to hide, you probably do have something to hide. I mean, you don't go around telling everyone your social security number, now do you?
Right. You've got something to hide.
You probably don't regularly go around giving out your bank information to people or the passwords to those bank accounts. So, you've got some things to hide. And being able to protect that information is important, whether it be from government agents who do not have your best interests in mind or your other common criminals that might just simply want to steal your phone or something like that.
They don't have your best interests in mind either.
Right. We started out the show talking about a disturbing warrant that was apparently issued authorizing the government to go into a specific building and then take phones from anyone that was in there. Didn't matter who was there. They didn't specify who it was that phone they wanted to take. It would just be whoever was in the building. They had the authorization to take the phone and then forcibly put someone's thumb onto their phone in order to activate a thumbprint identifier to enter to break the security of the phone.
Demand a thumbprint, swipe it, whatever.
So that's what we had started talking about, but there's more. The different story from the Intercept.com, and this seems like pretty big news. Study says the facial recognition systems are threatening the privacy of millions, and we'll get into that here in moments. But first, We go to Sarah in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Yes. Did you know that the Time reported that the employees at the Trump's golf course in California alleged that Donald Trump wanted to fire less attractive employees? So the managers were told to replace hostesses who weren't pretty enough with more attractive women. So then, anyway, ProPublica spoke with Matt Pierce about how he unearthed the new details from the lawsuit records. They actually filed a lawsuit because of this.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, well, you know what? I got this from the
Why would
article.
somebody want to work for someone who didn't want them to work for them? That's something I've never really understood was, okay, what are you suing for? You want to get your job back? Or you just want to get a cash payout because you got fired? I mean, I presume they're suing.
Get fired for a bad reason, you know.
Well, I mean, if you're running a business that you want to have attractive people in the employee positions, shouldn't you have the right to make that decision? And all the anti-discriminatory laws, don't they only cover race, gender, and, sexual orientation and things like that? They don't actually talk about attractiveness,
Rush
do they?
Limbaugh predicted this with his Uglo-Americans speech, or bit that he's done. That at some point or another, people will be bringing this particular issue up. And one thing's for sure is attractive people make more money. They tend to be more successful, and it's all because of accidents of genetics.
Yes, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. So I guess that like when we look at in this case, you can point at Donald Trump and say, bad fat man with bad hair, right? Like you can
He's
point
not
at
very
him.
pretty.
But what you'll notice is that there's not a lot of ugly leading men in Hollywood, are there, Sarah?
Right. Well, Hollywood is a given, but
Well, why is it a given?
Is
it okay for the consumer to say, "Hey, we want attractive, movie stars," but it's not okay for an employer to say, "I want attractive hostesses"? And why?
Well, you know what? The article says from the ABQ Press is, as I began to read them, I very quickly noticed that over and over again, many of these employees had very similar allegations of when Donald Trump would come into town from New York to visit the golf course, would always have the staff of golf courses club restaurant with young, attractive, slender women. In other words, I guess they would get some hires. So when he's coming, everybody, kind of like trade in, they would have to hire
they'd hide the ugly, competent waitresses and bring in the pretty dumb ones. Is the idea?
Well, that didn't answer your question, though.
No, she's not answering my question, Sarah. Why?
Don't read the article. Answer Mark's question.
Why is it okay? And this is a philosophical question. Why is it okay for Americans or people around the world to choose to see movies that have attractive men and women in them and spend their money on that, but it is not okay for a fat, noisy, bad-haired billionaire to choose to have only attractive hostesses?
Well, I mean, that is a private business, but what's amazing is that's okay, but
So you're saying it's okay to discriminate within your business and hire the people that look pretty. You're saying that's fine.
Well, I suppose so, but the thing is, the workers didn't think that it was fine. They actually had a lawsuit.
Yep.
And I hope it got kicked out of court.
I wish I could get one of those workers here to answer these questions, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Sarah, that's the difficulty.
Thanks for the call, Sarah. Appreciate it. I hope that lawsuit got kicked out of court.
So one needs to understand the consequences, that if you want a bunch of attractive hostesses, and by the way, from what I can tell, hostess is a job that's generally populated by, young women,
young females,
who have not finished school and can't take on other positions or whatever. I suspect they make less than the waitresses, from what I can tell.
They get paid hourly usually, yeah.
In my experience, they make less than the waitresses. Oftentimes, hostesses will move to the waitress position. It seems to be hostess, waitress, bartendress. That's the the path inside of a particular restaurant. But, you know, I think that it makes an undesirable position. It's going to make it more difficult to staff an already relatively undesirable position because, you know, people want to be the waitresses. They don't want to be the hostess. There's fewer hostesses and that sort of thing.
Right.
So what it says to me is you want attractive hostesses, you better, you know, increase pay by 50%.
No doubt. Well, I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump can afford to do that with some fancy golf club or whatever that we were talking that Sarah was referring to. And, you know, I understand that some people are upset by this, but ultimately people who run businesses and the customers who support them or don't support them should be able to decide these things. And if somebody wants to have a business where they only hire the most attractive people and they charge more because of it, then they should be able to see if that business succeeds or fails. Maybe it won't even work out. Maybe the prices will be too much compared to their competition who have just average-looking employees, but the prices are better, so more people go there, and the place with the attractive people goes under. Let's let the market decide how these things are supposed to shake out. And further, why would you want to work somewhere that doesn't want to have you work there? Why spend any time worrying about that? What, you got fired because you weren't pretty enough? That's okay. Go find another job. There's plenty of them.
I think it just sounds bad. It just sounds bad. But
what does?
That you would be fired or not get hired based on your looks, and it sounds bad.
It is a bad.
But I would like to point out that this is unfair at its core because it disallows one party from doing something. So if I decide I don't want to work at a particular location because the boss is ugly, no, people are going to think, well, that's a stupid reason to not take a job, but nobody's going to propose for one second.
You're not the one that has to look at him all day.
That I have to go to that job and work. No one's going to say that I should have to give money to the boss for, you know, this ridiculous claim of mine. So it takes this, what should be a fair exchange, and makes it unfair.
If you want to join us, you're welcome to do so. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and maybe you've had to deal with these issues. Maybe you've been the hiring person, human resources or whatever that has
maybe
to
you're butt ugly and got fired.
Make these decisions, or you know you've had some sort of pressures being in business like this. I mean, certainly Hooters has had their share of lawsuits over who can and can't be a server there. Remember the one where the dude wanted to be a server at Hooters?
No, that's not going to work out.
Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. But didn't he win that suit?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I hope not. It's been a long time, so I don't remember. 855-450-FREE. Join us on Free Talk Live.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
If you're the parent of a man-child, you know how frustrating it can sometimes be. The piercing sound of his video games waking you up at 2 in the morning. His insatiable hunger and inability to cook anything for himself. The messes he makes. the stress can be overwhelming.
Something will set them off, such as their man-child will tell them that they don't know how to tie a tie even though they're almost 30. They'll start shaking them and yelling and saying, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you get a real job instead of working part-time at a board game store?"
The results of shaken man-child syndrome are devastating. Trauma caused by the brain colliding with the inside of the man-child's skull can lead to cognitive disabilities, making it even more unlikely he'll finally marry the girl he's been having a long-distance online relationship with for 6 years. Or it can even lead to death.
He's not spilling cereal all over the couch or leaving his beard clippings in the bathroom sink intentionally. He truly does not know what he's doing.
For the Lab Report, I'm Stuart Adams.
This is the Onion News Network.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio waves and bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Also, the Liberty Radio Network offers audio on-demand listen lines. You can call it up at 641-793-9660, and that allows you to listen to not only LRN.FM, but also Free Talk Live and a bunch of other great LRN.FM shows. You can listen to Free Talk Live on demand. So the latest episode is there at the touch of a couple buttons. Just dial in 641-793-9660. Now, keep in mind, that's a long-distance telephone number. So if you do have to pay for long distance, you probably don't want to do this. But for the rest of you that have unlimited long distance where there's no cost to dialing that number, then you can listen as long as you want, 24/7. It's up to you. 641-793-9660. Plus, there's also a voicemail option. So while you're listening to the show, let's say you're all upset about something we're talking about or you just want to comment, you can leave a voicemail. Just hit 0 anytime. The voicemail prompt will come up. You leave the message. It'll be delivered to us via our email boxes. So once again, that audio on-demand listen line, which you can also listen to our live stream as well, 641-793-9660. It's a great way to listen without using any of your data plan on your smartphone. Or for those of you that don't have smartphones, this is pretty much the only way that you can listen on your phone. So again, 641-793-9660. Speaking of the phones, we go to them, to the phones, to the fun. We'll talk to Pam, listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Pam.
Hi.
Hey there, Pam.
You were talking about whether pretty people should sue their bosses. Why aren't they suing their parents?
You are very hard to understand. I don't know if you're talking directly into your handset or not.
Well, okay, how's that?
Sounds better.
It's a little better. Go ahead.
You're talking about pretty people suing their employer. Why are they not suing their parents?
No, it's the ugly people who I believe were suing. So
it's still a good joke.
The people who'd been fired from their job.
I have a question about Hillary Clinton. The email thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Why it happened? I don't care. But the fact is, it did happen. Shouldn't that have pulled her security clearance from her? And if not, why? If somebody made a mistake like that, do you want to take a chance on them doing it again?
I guess the reason would be is because she's a powerful woman who, would probably cause any bureaucrat who attempted to take her security clearance to lose a job.
Yeah, she's likely one of the untouchables, if you will.
Okay, which goes back to anybody who thinks that there isn't any kind of corruption in government.
Well, they are not paying attention. If there's somebody who thinks there's no corruption in government, they might be 5 years old. I mean, how could you possibly get into any level of adulthood and not be aware that government is corrupt and evil?
So the fact that Hillary is jumping up and down saying that
I can't take it, Pam. I can't get I don't know what you're doing with your phone there, but we can't put that on the air. You got one more chance. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hillary is saying that Trump is saying that polls are fixed, whether he is or not. Wouldn't you rather have somebody who says it's possible that will look at the problem, or somebody who says it's impossible and won't bother?
I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, to stick your head in the sand and to say that it's impossible that polls, could be rigged is absolutely ridiculous. Pam, thanks for the call.
Well, I think what Trump's doing is he's preparing for what appears to be an inevitable loss, according to the polls at this point. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, but I think that if he would focus on the relationship between the Democratic, the Clinton campaign and the media, and he would focus on the Democratic National Convention's appointment of Hillary Clinton as their nominee, that then he would have a much better case for this vote rigging thing. Like, we can see, look, this lady's here. She attempted to rig the vote. Now, I'm not saying she won because of her rigging, but she rigged the vote for the Democratic nomination. Mm-hmm. And she disenfranchised and disillusioned a generation of Democratic voters and voters all across America. The system's broken because of people like her. I'm not claiming that she's worse than all the politicians in Washington, D.C. Some people will, but I'm not. I'm saying she's like them.
Yep.
That they're only like that she's only more successful than they are. And if he'd say, look, I can't turn around without them dragging up some 11-year-old video of me, chit-chatting with some guy off mic. And, Barack Obama says he'll deal with the Russians after the election on mic. Nobody does anything about that. Somehow I'm deplorable, but this politician who said he's, by the sounds of it, going to sell your kids down the river to the the Red Russians, nobody cares. America, you've got the politicians you deserve. And if you want a politician that's better than these politicians, you're going to have to do something different. That would be so much better message than his rambling nonsense about, they're gonna rig every election in every county across America. Bull.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, basically.
Let's go to your calls here and thoughts. Of course, it is debate night, the final of the 3 presidential debates as presented by the commission, or whatever they're called, on presidential debates, which is the scam artists that have rigged the system to make sure that there are only 2 participants in these debates rather than, well, the ones that are actually qualified to win, which would include Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But first, Jason is on the line in Missouri via Skype. Hello, Jason.
Yeah, I called in because you guys were talking about fingerprint readers.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you need to know about phones is if you turn the phone off, it disables the fingerprint reader until you log in.
Until you log into what?
So, let's say you have an iPhone or an Android and you turn off the phone, it disables the fingerprint reader until you use either your passcode, swipe, or password.
So you just turn off your phone every time you're not using it?
More like, when you hear the door get busted in.
It's probably the thing to do.
So wait, what you're saying? Hold on. Wait. What you're saying is, if you turn the phone off, when you turn it back on, it's going to ask you for a passcode, not the fingerprint scan?
That is correct.
But that would require someone to have set the passcode, correct? So what you're saying is,
in order to use the fingerprint reader, you have to have a passcode, because the way it works is once you put in the passcode the first time, it loads an encryption key into the device that is the fingerprint reader. And so when you hit the button, it authorizes the unlock.
So presuming you have the wherewithal to turn the phone off during a raid, then maybe that'll work for you. But that doesn't seem like a very good plan.
Better than nothing.
Well, better than nothing would be to have a passcode on all the time and not worry about a fingerprint.
Well, I have a fingerprint reader, and I can tell you that, like when I have to make a call and things are chaotic, it's a lifesaver.
It's convenient for you.
Yes.
Jason, I'm actually glad you called in tonight because I had some audio, and I heard Mark listening to it when I walked into the studio today. It was audio that you recorded of a city council meeting where you were threatened and assaulted just for simply recording the meeting. And I want to play that. If you want to stick with us, you're welcome to. I think it's pretty interesting and instructive to some extent. We'll do that coming up.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well, and the Skype username here is LRN.FM. Plus, want to let you know about Bitcoin Unlimited. The greatest threat to Bitcoin, according to Roger Ver, and he's an early Bitcoin adopter, big name in the Bitcoin community, the greatest threat is from the inside. There are those in the Bitcoin community that don't want to see Bitcoin grow, and they're holding back the increase of the block size. Now, some people want to increase that from 1 megabyte to 2, and there are the people that don't want to see that happen. Roger wants to see the block size increase, and this is an important debate. We're not going to get into the details of why that is right now, but there's a new Bitcoin client that's been introduced, and it supports this increased block size, and it's also supported by Roger Ver. He's given it his endorsement, as I understand it. Well, it's called Bitcoin Unlimited. You can go to bitcoinunlimited.info to learn more about it, and to download it and get rolling with it. That's what I've done here in the studio. We've got it running here on the LRN studio machine. Recently, by the way, Via BTC, which is the 5th largest miner in the world, switched exclusively to Bitcoin Unlimited, and Bitcoin prices spiked 5%. Could be a coincidence, but a lot of observers don't think so. Bitcoin should not be held back by a few. You can learn more at bitcoinunlimited.info. That's bitcoinunlimited.info. As we continue here, I've got Jason on the line with us, and he's a longtime listener of the show who's been going to city council meetings in the small town of, I believe it's Forsyth, Missouri. Is that right?
That is correct.
You've been going to these council meetings for a little while, recording videos. You're the only person there who has done that. They don't have their own video recording setup there. So you're bringing your camera in, your tripod, you're setting it up in the back of the room, and you're recording the full city council meetings. And it turns out they don't really seem to appreciate the community service that you're providing here, because there's a value to what it is that you're doing. They're to shine some light on the activities of these council members. And they should be happy. They should be elated that somebody has taken such an interest in the civics of the community to actually to actually spend your own time and your own money, because you could be doing other productive things during that time frame, because these council meetings can, I know from experience, they can just go on and on and on. I mean, you're talking about at least a couple hours every meeting, if not more than that. So you should be praised. They ought to be giving you an award for this. But instead, at a recent council meeting, you were threatened. You were actually assaulted, apparently. You want to tell us a little bit about that before we play the audio?
Yeah, and actually, before I started recording the videos, what had happened is I went there to do a bid, and the bid was really a closed bid, not open to the public, even though that's not proper. And I guess I made waves when I did that, and I tried to smooth things over by making them a free website, and I offered it to them, and they sent it back to me. And that's when I knew that they didn't want the light of day in their council chamber. So that's why I started recording. And recently I've actually started live streaming through YouTube, the meetings, and they won't give me access to the Wi-Fi, so I actually have to use my phone. And
wow, that's going to get expensive.
Yeah, it cost me about $10 once a month. And basically what had happened was they had it all planned. Last month, if your viewers will remember, the mayor stood up and said, if you're not going to pledge allegiance to the flag, then you need to leave his town and not come back.
Right, and they were talking about you. You were the lone person who did not participate in the Pledge of Allegiance, and they basically singled you out while not actually saying your name or specifically identifying you. But they basically said, anyone not standing for the flag, you're not welcome in our town.
Well, this month, Monday, they made good on their threat. They pulled out all the stops to make sure that I knew I wasn't wanted, to intimidate me and basically make me fear for my safety, because I can't understand why else somebody would demand that you go out to the parking lot, per se.
I'm going to play the audio here for our listeners, because probably the supermajority of them have not heard this. You posted this in the Free Talk Live AMP forum on Facebook, which is where I saw it first a couple of days ago. I actually had already taken the time to dub this audio and boost it up a little bit. Now, keep in mind, Jason, you can't hear this when I play it back just because of the way we have the setup here in the studio. So just stand by and wait till we continue commenting here. So here's the audio from Forsyth, Missouri, town council meeting right at the very end. So this is just to kind of set the stage here. It's a 2-hour-long meeting. This happens
riveting stuff.
This happens within the last 5 minutes of the meeting. And so what's happening here is they're about to wrap the meeting up. Somebody motions to adjourn. There's a second to that motion, and right before they take the vote, Jason speaks up because he has something to add in.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
I have business. I'm going to make a motion under the Sunshine Act for all rules pertaining to this meeting. Doesn't matter. You have my request. You got 48 hours.
48 hours to what?
Now, that's the mayor, by the way. 48 hours to what? He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He has no idea what the Sunshine Request is.
You should Google Sunshine Act.
They don't get these requests very often.
Right.
In the defense of small town politics, which is, in this case, corrupt and one-sided, and likely is in most places, they don't. Most people don't participate because it is boring.
Oh, this room's empty.
Yeah, boring.
It's rows and rows and rows of empty chairs.
Corrupt. Yeah. There's not that much power to be had. People just aren't interested in it, so they don't get requests for sunshine requests very often. And I suspect it's probably the first time in decades that.
No.
What's that?
No, I actually have been making sunshine requests, and
she's not paying attention.
Well, I got basically contempt from them, so I called the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. And the Attorney General of the state of Missouri not only called them and set them straight, but then later sent them a letter and a packet. So they were duly notified.
Well, apparently the mayor wasn't paying attention because he's likely got people that handle those matters for him. Let's continue the audio here.
Because I have the right to request documentation.
What right do you have to come in here and just raise hell? That's what I want to know.
What right do you have to come in here and raise hell is what I want to know. Now, by raising hell, he's talking about you requesting something under a right-to-know law in the state of Missouri. Basically not the minutes of the meeting, but the rules by which the meeting is conducted. So that would be like Robert's Rules of Order or something like that, some sort of list of rules.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, I watched the video. It was about 10 minutes long that you had put together. It was obviously edited. I mean, were you farting loudly in the back of the room?
No, what they're talking about is a guy came in to sell him a $180,000 solar panel system. And because of my background with controls, electronics, and computers, I'm a subject matter expert. So I chimed in that the local power company has a solar panel demo kit where they data log the actual output based on the percent yield of the area. So if you're going to buy a solar panel in this area, you're going to want to check them and see actually what the percent output is, because every system has a rating, but it's really dependent on the sun.
Yeah, so you gave them some good advice. Did you raise your hand or did you go up?
Well, the thing is, I had been repeatedly asking for the rules governing the meetings, and what I was told is that the meetings are run informally and that if you want to speak up, you're free to do so.
Okay. So
unless you're you, in which case speaking up.
It doesn't sound like you were raising hell then.
Yeah. Well, any interruption in the good old boys process, as far as they're concerned, is raising hell. They don't like to have anything questioned. They don't like to have anybody in there who's coming from things from a different, atypical perspective, a pro-liberty perspective. We've encountered this here in Keene, where we've been called
He
people.
offered them some information on solar panels when they were talking about solar panels.
Well, but it was information that might have gotten in the way of them doing business with this guy or whatever. Who knows? Hang on, Jason. If you got more commentary, we've got a little bit more audio as well. It's Free Talk Live. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
If you had one day to teach someone economics, what would you say? We would say that innovation and prosperity requires economic freedom. Visit fee.org/courses and check out Economics in One Day, a crash course in free market economics that you can present to your community. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been a champion of liberty. Start today at no charge by visiting fee.org/courses and learn why economic freedom matters.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything you want. It is debate night, the final in the 3 debates. If we get the chance, we'll share some of that debate audio with you and comment on it at the same time, as has sort of been the tradition here in past years on Free Talk Live. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you tonight. You can join us online anytime you want over at freetalklive.com. And as we mentioned, the audio that we're playing right now, we're going to get back into it here, is of a listener of ours we actually have on the line, Jason, in Forsyth, Missouri, at the town council meeting, being threatened. He's about to be threatened and actually assaulted here in this audio. all for the dastardly act of getting involved in his community. I mean, he's getting. It
really sounds like that. I mean, it really sounds like the accusation's been made that he was raising hell.
Yeah.
I saw no evidence of that in the video. Not to say that I watched the entire 2 hours. I watched the edited version, but I mean,
if they think this guy's raising hell, they should watch Derek J's Victimless Crime
These
Spree.
people don't. I guess they may claim that his choosing not to stand for the pledge was raising hell, I suppose. But sitting quietly,
right?
Isn't
You've
really
raised hell by sitting down.
Yeah, that. You know.
So,
what right do you have to come in here and disagree with my old country butt?
That's right. That's what they said here. So we're going to get back into that, and also the place where he posted this video first, at least the first place I saw it, was on the Free Talk Live AMP forum, the Free Talk Live AMP Facebook group, to be specific. Yeah. The AMP forum is long dead, but the AMP Facebook group is what has replaced it. And it's a way for Free Talk Live listeners who support the show financially to interact with one another. And so he posted that there, and so I saw it, and I thought, wow, this is something we should probably play on the air. And then I came in tonight, Mark, and we hadn't talked about it. You just happened to be listening to it, so you were obviously interested in it as well. So we're going to get right back into that. But if you want to join the Free Talk Live Amplifier program, please do so. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. Do as Jason and a bunch of other great listeners of ours have done, and support the show for as little as $5 per month. And that's money that we can invest into Free Talk Live to get on more radio stations around the country, to bring more internet listeners on board, and to expose new people to the ideas of freedom. And if that's worth a few bucks a month to you, then we appreciate your help. It makes a big difference for us. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. Sign up with any major credit card through PayPal, Visa or MasterCard, or Bitcoin right there on the website at amp.freetalklive.com. And we still have Jason with us. He's on Skype. We're going to continue playing the audio of what happened after you simply asked your right to information. You asked for a list of the rules that they run these meetings by, these town meetings, and you cited the Sunshine Statutes there in Missouri, which should entitle you to information. Most information governments have is subject to this, these sort of sunshiny laws. There's certain things that they can't give out, like private employee info.
Yeah,
and
they don't
like
give out
that.
the employees' social security numbers.
But besides that, you can get a whole bunch of stuff. So they should have to fulfill this request. Let's continue here with what happened.
Let's go outside.
Let me jump back a little bit so you can hear the first thing someone says to him here.
Because I have the right to request documentation.
What right do you have to come in here and just raise hell? That's what I want to know.
Now, Jason, before we go on with the audio, who is that man who says, what right do you have to come in here and raise hell?
I believe his name is Larry Smith, but I've never been introduced to him.
Does he have a title?
Does he work for the city or the town?
He does. I believe it's some sort of administrative capacity.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious as if he was just sitting in the audience or if he was one of them.
This looks like official oppression.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So a man who has just asked for documentation that is legally available to him has been asked to, why don't you step outside with me?
Yep.
In what apparently is a threatening manner. Let's
Doesn't sound friendly to me.
Let's talk about this in the parking lot as I smash your face repeatedly on a concrete parking bumper.
Let's go outside.
No.
Let's go outside.
Don't touch me, sir. Do not touch me, sir. Do not touch me, sir.
All right, so he's actually grabbing you as he tries to take you outside.
Is that I'm going to touch you?
Is that what's happening there, Jason? Because at this part of the video, the camera's pointing forward, so you don't actually see the assault happen, which is my only critique of the videography. You did a great job getting the audio. It's crystal clear. It sounds good. I don't know how badly he was grabbing you, but next time if something like that happens, just do a quick pan over and point the video camera at the action, because that'll make it real clear as to whether or not there actually was an assault. I believe you when you say he was grabbing you, but there's no way to prove it.
Actually, he goes back in the camera view and he walks up to the alderman and he admits that he touched me. Now, he lies about the scope of it because what he did was he grabbed me by the shirt sleeve and pulled. Now, he doesn't actually have to touch me to assault me. All he has to do is intimidate me and create an element of fear.
That's what defines assault? Intimidation and an element of fear?
in the state of Missouri. In fact, if you look at the latest revision of the video, I have annotations where I actually cite the law.
Okay. See, this was the original one that you posted, which was just the full 2 hours. I just ripped the audio from that. Let me continue with this audio here. I'm going to replay the part where you're being assaulted.
I just let's go outside. Let's go outside.
Don't touch me, sir.
Do not touch me,
sir. Do not touch me, sir.
What does he say there? I need to vent with you? I can't make it out.
I'm not exactly sure what he said, because as soon as he grabbed me, you can hear me saying, don't touch me.
Right, yeah. It'll be hard to hear someone speaking while you're speaking.
Mr. Grabby Hands.
Let me continue with the audio here.
Get the book, How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Now, for a moment, I thought he said the F word there, but he actually says you should get the book of How to Make Friends and Influence People. This is a different guy who is observing all this, and he's talking to you.
Right.
Correct?
I mean, you're clearly the enemy in this room for whatever reason. There's a small handful of people. They all seem,
good old boys.
Yeah, one lady appears to be a journalist, but the journalist doesn't want to be on camera. Clearly doesn't understand what, journaling is about, recording what is going on. She's like, you going to record this before the, they call to order? The point you made was legitimate, which is those guys up there have a quorum. That makes this
it's a meeting.
This a meeting.
Stand by. We're going to continue the audio here.
He sure does.
Yeah.
I've got nothing but disrespect from the day I showed up here.
And that's you've been disrespectful.
No, the first day I showed up here.
Kiss our butts.
The day I showed up here was for a bid on the server.
You get your equipment out of here and do it right now. Unplug it.
Larry,
don't touch my stuff.
Now, the guy who's saying get your equipment out of here, is that the same guy who assaulted you?
That is the same individual.
Okay. That's what I thought, but, one redneck sounding voice kind of all sounds the same to me, so I just wanted to make sure. So you do get to actually see the guy pretty clear when he walks in front of the camera as though he's going to go and grab your camera, but there's another man who intervenes who's standing nearby enough to, grab him, and he's like, no, it's not worth it, as you'll hear him say here in a moment.
Larry,
don't touch my stuff.
Get yourself in trouble. It ain't worth it.
You get yourself in trouble. It ain't worth it, Larry.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. Go outside and cool off.
Yeah. I don't know what Larry's
cool
particular
off.
problem is. I think it's probably because you didn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which says to me that these people can't handle dealing with the public, right? The public is a bunch of people with a bunch of different ideas. Not all of those ideas are great, right? And certainly by, different people have different estimations as to what they are. This guy wants you to move to Somalia, but at the same time does not want to reveal what the government is doing. I mean, this guy is a banana republic, dictator in the making.
Let's continue with the audio. There's just a little bit left.
Well, you know you're not one to disrupt meetings. I don't know what your whole objective is. You come to a place over here. That is my opinion. I'm welcome to it. So.
Well, you're welcome. You keep it to yourself.
All right, so that's the audio. I don't know why you coming here disrupt meetings.
Yeah, why the hell did you come to this public meeting of your government?
Why'd you come here, wait 2 hours through the entire meeting, right until the very end to say something right at the very... I mean, he didn't disrupt anything. They'd finished the entire meeting. It was a motion to adjourn. They seconded the motion, and then Jason speaks up. It's like, yeah, I got business. He literally was...
Actually,
go ahead.
Normally, they ask before they motion to adjourn.
Right, but they knew you were there.
If anybody has any business.
Yeah.
But because I was there and because of the atmosphere, they knew that I would do what I did.
Well,
now, they actually responded to my sunshine request, and they told me that they do not have any written rules and that their lawyer has stated that they don't need them.
They don't need written rules to conduct a public meeting?
And I presume they responded in writing, so you are you posting that to your website? Is it forsyth.city?
Yes, and they emailed me a response, so that's
Excellent.
in writing.
Jason, keep up the good work. You're all alone out there. I know it's not easy. Good luck, and continue recording. I think you're doing some excellent work. Would love to see you up here in New Hampshire doing it someday, because here you could actually have some backup where you wouldn't be the only person in the room, and that man wouldn't have been so tough if you were surrounded by 5 supporters. Thanks for the call. Hour 3's coming up.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Via BTC is the 5th largest mining pool in the world by hash rate distribution. They recently announced they had officially mined their first Bitcoin Unlimited block on October 10th with a Coinbase size vote of 2 megabytes. Almost immediately after Via BTC's appearance at Roger Vere's free speech party in Milan, Italy, the pool announced they would be allocating 100% of their hashing power to mining Bitcoin Unlimited blocks. The team has confirmed they are running Bitcoin Unlimited. To learn more, go to news.bitcoin.com.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.66 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $640. Antiwar.com reports questions about Wikileaks founder Julian Assange's sudden disappearance from the internet over the weekend sparked a flurry of speculation, including some particularly wild theories about Pamela Anderson poisoning him on behalf of the Clinton campaign. On Tuesday, the government of Ecuador revealed that they were responsible and that they had cut Assange's internet access because of the Wikileaks release of emails from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, arguing that they did not want to be seen as interfering with a presidential election. The details of this decision are unclear, but the Clinton campaign has been heavily campaigning on the idea of WikiLeaks' release being a Russian plot to elect Donald Trump, and the Obama administration has repeatedly presented it as an attempt to influence the election, so it's likely that the U.S. pressure was involved in Ecuador's decision. WikiLeaks reports that Ecuador cut Assange's internet access almost immediately following the organization's release of paid speeches Clinton gave to Goldman Sachs. The group has insisted that it has contingency plans in place and that Assange's temporary loss of access will not impact its operation. Ecuador granted Assange political asylum in 2012, citing calls from U.S. officials to assassinate him. He has been staying in the Ecuadorian embassy in London since then, as Britain is seeking to arrest him over a Swedish warrant related to an ongoing investigation and has not let him travel to Ecuador from the embassy grounds.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
UPI reports crews are battling 3 fires in Colorado that have scorched thousands of acres and prompted evacuations. Warm weather and high winds are fueling the fires. 2 fires are south of Denver, the Junkins Fire and the Talcott Fire, and 1 is west of the city, the Freeman Fire. TJ Steck, fire chief with the Elizabeth Fire Protection District, 46 miles southeast of Denver, told the Denver Channel, "We don't have a fire season. The fire comes at any time of the year for us." In the case of the Junkins Fire, more than 175 homes have been evacuated and roughly 70 more are on pre-evacuation. That fire had grown to nearly 16,000 acres as of Monday night and had burned nearly 129 homes in the evacuation area, according to Custer County Office of Emergency Management. At least one home and 5 outbuildings had been destroyed. The Freeman fire, which began Saturday afternoon in Eagle County, was estimated at 300 acres and 40% contained Monday evening. It is burning in the White River National Forest and no evacuations have yet been ordered. In El Paso County, the 14-acre Talcott fire was spotted Monday afternoon. Residents in about a dozen homes were briefly evacuated but allowed to return Monday evening.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a federal judge in San Francisco on Tuesday said he was strongly inclined to approve a record-setting $10.033 billion proposed buyback and compensation offer from Volkswagen for 475,000 owners of polluting 2.0-liter diesel vehicles. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said he will issue a final decision on the matter by October 25th, stemming from Volkswagen's use of illegal software to defeat U.S. emissions testing. Owners, lawyers, and others appeared before Breyer during a hearing raising arguments about why they think Volkswagen has failed to offer enough money for buybacks or refunding for other out-of-pocket costs like extended warranties, maintenance, and government licensing fees. Breyer said he would consider the objections before deciding whether to recommend any changes, but added that it was imperative to act quickly. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A cool guy from middle school is still sporting his fat pair of Jinkos. A stunned St. Peter's Square crowd hears the Pope getting bitched out by God, and an 8th grader caked in makeup is probably really confident. This is The Onion Week in Review. This week, a Pew Research Center poll found that the vast majority of Americans would watch a television show called Love Trap, with most saying that regardless of the show's genre or quality, they would tune in weekly to see its stars stumble into romantic triangles, double-cross one another, and contend with whatever the titular love trap refers to. The survey confirmed that 62% of Americans would likely watch Love Trap to see a shrewd but cold-hearted Southern belle named Tammy. 23% of the nation hoped the show would be referred to as The Trap by its most loyal fans, and 15% of respondents said they simply needed something to watch. And in this week's science news, a biologist completes a 5-minute study of the pathetic organism in his mirror. In other news, a man confidently hits send on the worst job application a company has ever seen.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. And we're kicking off the third hour of the program with you tonight. In our studio in Keene, New Hampshire, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And we've got Skype. If you want to Skype into the show, you can do that. Skype username is lrn.fm. Also, toll-free numbers allow you to take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever you want at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We might get into some debate audio here in a little bit.
It's always fun.
But first, to your calls and thoughts. John is in Nevada. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, John.
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
So today I'm up here in Portland still, and I've just finished watching the last 2 days of the trial where they've gone through the closing arguments for the prosecution and the defense.
Now, the trial you're referring to is the Malheur Wildlife Refuge occupiers. They are facing a number of years in prison, and there are a multitude of defendants. That's the trial you're talking about.
The press thought that the occupation was well worth reporting on. They haven't seemed to care too much about the trials.
No. There's 7 defendants here, and 2 of them, the 2 prominent ones, are Ammon Bundy and Ryan Bundy.
Okay.
I watched the prosecution's their closing statement, and as I watched it, I thought your average citizen is going to think this is a pretty open and shut case because they have a long litany of events they've documented, which would normally appear to be people breaking the law. Then came the first defense by Ammon Bundy's lawyer, whose name is Marcus Mumford, who gave an absolutely brilliant 4-hour defense yesterday.
Wow.
In which he totally turned me around. He did what I thought was impossible. He made me think that all of these defendants are actually have not broken the laws they've been charged with.
Huh.
So they've been charged with a conspiracy. Now, they may have broken several laws, but they're charged with a conspiracy, and the prosecution has very special things that they must prove in the case, and he showed that none of these things were proved. The key was they had to prove that the conspirators intended. It was their intent to obstruct the officers of the Fish and Wildlife Department and the BLM. What he showed was this wasn't their intent at all. Their intent was to curb federal government overreach, and any interference with these officials was purely a side effect of what they were doing, and not their intent at all.
It's interesting.
Well, they intended, as I understood it, to go there as a protest, to be heard, to bring some attention to the issue of what they were concerned with, which was that overreach, and specifically, land grabs by the Bureau of Land Management and ridiculous rules and regulations and things like that.
Yes. At first, the protest started off as a protest over what happened to the Hammonds when they were imprisoned under terrorism laws for setting a fire on their own property to protect themselves from a fire set on government property.
Mm-hmm.
And the fire they set happened to burn up some grass on government property,
right.
And they were sentenced to 5 years each eventually.
Certainly, one
under
should.
A terrorism law.
When one's doing, agricultural burns, one certainly shouldn't be burning property that does not belong to one. However, is that terrorism, and does it deserve 5 years in prison, I think? And to me, what that says, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights were put in place to really not have cruel and unusual punishment, that the punishment needed to fit the crime. And the idea that you burned some grass on some government land, if you can't show a structure, you can't show, damages. I mean, show me an endangered wild spotted owl that was killed, something. But, I mean, still, 5 years, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there was none of that. No burn structures. They started the fire on their own land to protect themselves from a government-started fire.
So let's get back to the hearing. So, and I presume we're talking about multiple defense attorneys because there's different clients, right? So they're not all the same attorney.
Yes, yesterday afternoon was the first defense attorney, and he took all afternoon. Marcus Mumford made a brilliant case for all the defendants. Today we watched the other six defendants. Ryan Bundy spoke for himself. He's been defending himself. He gave a very compelling presentation explaining exactly what they were doing and how it has nothing to do with the charges. And it really struck me watching this that what a travesty it is that this testimony can only be seen in this building.
Right.
Because we're watching it mostly on a closed circuit feed on the 13th floor, but it can't be seen anywhere else in America. Now here
they have a 13th floor?
Pushing back against the federal government,
right,
and making arguments that go directly to the heart of government, and nobody can see it.
Right, and that's because the federal government will not allow video cameras into court. They won't even allow audio recording devices into court. It's just absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. The only thing they'll let you bring into their courtrooms is a pen and paper, and that's it. You can't even bring a smartphone in. You can't bring any kind of recording device unless you're an attorney. Attorneys can bring their smartphones in, but they're not allowed to record with them. So there's no way anyone's ever going to hear those speeches except, like you said, the people who were there. Now, you said you're watching in an alternative room. So is that because the courtroom is full of supporters?
The courtroom is full. There's not much room for supporters. Only a few only a few rows of seats for observers. So there's maybe 20 to 30 observers in the trial itself, and then upstairs in 13, there's often 100 people or more viewing.
Well, that's actually a pretty darn good turnout for a trial. So, I mean, that's a good sign.
And it's from all across the country. These are not local Portland people for the most part. These are from people from all parts of Oregon and from all parts of the country who come out here to see this trial.
All right. So, what else was worth reporting on today?
Well, as I said, I think they had a great 1-2 punch. First, a great summation by a lawyer. Then one of the brothers got up and made the case themselves and showed the jurors that these are the most forthright people imaginable. And one of the points stressed by the lawyer was that while that these people do everything they do out in the light and the sunshine, and they invite everyone to come and look at everything they do, meanwhile, the FBI is acting in the dark, infiltrating them with confidential informants and agitators. And so he made a great contrast between the light and the dark sides of this contest.
Excellent.
I sincerely hope it works out. When do we find out anything?
Well, it's going to jury right now, and so they're beginning deliberations. I assume they'll begin deliberations tomorrow. It might possibly tonight. I missed the very end because we were offended by the final rebuttal arguments of the prosecution and couldn't stand to watch that anymore and walked out.
It's really hard, man, when a defense attorney or defendant puts on a really great, closing speech, to have the prosecution come in there, swoop in there, and get the final word. They do that crap here in New Hampshire, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's really wrong. I mean, trials are already
stacked
towards the prosecution, and then they get the last word.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. It really is hard. So what do you think? I mean, you since you haven't been in the room, have you even been able to see the jury at all?
Not for most of the trial, although during the last 2 days during closing statements, we were able to see some of the jury. I wouldn't say I have any handle at all on how the jury is going to go.
Yeah.
There's just no way for me to tell. I would think that reasonable people, even normal citizens, could find these people completely innocent under the law.
I appreciate your optimism. I wish I had that optimism for juries. Keep us in the loop, John, and thanks for the diligent reporting down there, and thanks for sticking it out. I appreciate the info, which we're getting exclusively here because we haven't seen the news about it. Thanks for the call tonight, man. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. You can bring up anything you want. This is Free Talk Live.
He was malnourished and emaciated.
Constant scratching and just being unpleasant.
He was shedding excessively.
He was losing his fur.
Franklin was rescued from the streets of Los Angeles.
Bear was a rescue from the same shelter in Kansas City, Missouri that I got JJ the Terrier.
I found his raw meat diet, which is raw meat, eggs, rice, and Dinovite and Lico Chops. His omega-3 supplement on Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com. I've got my ground beef, the Dinovite, and I just mix it all together with the eggs and the shells.
Franklin, he's thriving. His coat is soft and shiny. He's shedding much less.
They're much happier. Their coats are better. Their behavior, especially their behavior, is better. How do you feed your shelter dog to derive a great attitude?
Start that little pet off right.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. Just go to Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Has this election season gotten you excited about the Libertarian Party? Has it gotten you mad? Do you want to see more candidates like Gary Johnson? Or do you want to see hardline libertarians? Either way, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and complain. You can make a difference by getting involved. Free Talk Live has, believe it or not, negotiated a free membership for you in the Libertarian Party at lp.org/FTL. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up for your free membership now at lp.org/FTL.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And also Skype in at Skype username lrn.fm. I'm Ian.
I'm Mark.
We've got a website. It's freetalklive.com. And on that site, we'll accept cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. You can go to bitcoin.freetalklive.com. You can find the Bitcoin tip jar there that you can just send your Bitcoin over to if you feel so inclined. And maybe you're going to be using your Jax wallet to do that, because Jax is the official wallet of Free Talk Live. You can get it at jax.io or the App Store for Apple or Google. It's jaxx.io. It holds Bitcoin and several other cryptocurrencies, including Ether, as well as the new REP tokens. And Litecoin was recently added. Coming soon, Monero as well. There's shapeshift integration, which means it's easy to change between one currency and another, meaning, if you want to turn your Bitcoin into Ether, that's not a problem. You don't even have to leave the app. It's super handy. Jax.io. By the way, it was created by Anthony DiOrio. He's one of the founders of Ethereum, and he's also a Free Talk Live listener. It's easy to back up your wallet with Jax and recover your funds if necessary, so you don't have to worry about your phone breaking or falling into a pit of despair or whatever. Jax is striving to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Plus, it's cross-platform, so you can get it not just for your phone, but for your laptop, your desktop, as long as you're running Windows, Linux, or Mac. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jax, the official wallet of Free Talk Live at jaxx.io. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. We've got, I believe, Will in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Will.
Hey, Ian, right?
It's Ian and Mark here. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, good. Well, at least this year, I'm a listener of y'all. And, I want to talk about the fire issues. We have fire here in California every year, and I've been a witness to them, and I've watched them, and they egg on the fire every year.
Who
eggs on the fire?
They egg it on. They produce. They make it. They are not watched by independent watchers. They make sure they're the only ones in the area to pertain the fire, and I happen to be watching them.
Are you saying, just to be clear, you keep talking about they and them, are you talking about the firemen?
The firefighters. They egg on the fire for their employment every year. They do it. I watch them.
Wow. This is really contrary to my experience as a firefighter.
They egg on the fire.
I hear you.
Want the fire.
Hear you saying it. So this is really contrary to my experience as a firefighter. What they do is they offer firefighters and, I assume professionals, but certainly they do with volunteers, the opportunity for training and then, employment doing sort of Western firefighting. They drop people in and have them do the watch the fires and that sort of thing. Some of them are killed pretty much every year from what I can see. The personality type of a firefighter tends to be overprotective in the area of fire. So I guess I'm just really surprised at what you're saying.
Well, I've talked to a few of them, and they say that it needs to burn. They actually said that.
Well, yeah, a lot of times fires do need to burn in order to control brush. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't know.
Yeah, they're burning more than brush. They're burning. These are wildlife preserves. Okay, it preserves for the wildlife, and because human encroachment, and so people like John Muir and Teddy Roosevelt, these are big conservationists, and they set aside land for wildlife. And so they're burning brush, manzanita and things like that. They consider it brush, but these are the main staple for a lot of wildlife, such as bear, and because the manzanita have berries that are almost like crab apples, and if you're in this area, all the stool that comes from bear is mainly from the manzanita, and they burned forests of manzanitas besides other forests that are trying to grow.
Is manzanita indigenous?
Yeah, California. It completely. It's just almost
now,
everywhere.
You're calling from Lake Isabella, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're listening on KVLI. We had somebody call from here previously to tell us that these fires have been incredibly devastating. This is not a very populated area in general, and I think something like 300 houses were burned out recently. I don't know if it was this year or last year or whatever, but it was incredibly destructive. So I understand that this is a serious issue for the people that are living there in Lake Isabella. But, it sounds like this is a conspiracy theory. Do you actually have any evidence that the firemen themselves are stoking these fires?
My evidence. Huh? I know for a fact they egged it on. Not only did they do backfires that do more damage and threaten homes in their backfires, because they know they can get away with it. They'll say that the wind blew and that the sparks came from 500 feet or more, like a mile away, basically, and they have free reign to do what they want because they are not contested or have anybody watching them other than themselves.
Will, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. There was a forest fire here in New Hampshire, I think it was earlier this year, that they did find it was a fireman who had started the fire. Yeah,
a lot of times you'll find, and you better watch out for those volunteers specifically, the volunteer firefighters, because they like fires, right? They like putting them out. And this was my experience in dealing with the highly professional team that came from Keene on the fire that I worked most recently. It's been probably a year now, but I happened to be first on the scene. I got the hose handed to me. I went and fought the fire. Scary, frightening thing. I had it knocked down in 30 seconds or something. It was one room. And, you know, the Keene guys showed up probably 2 minutes later, and they were bummed that they didn't get to fight that fire, right? Like, they wanted to fight a fire. And the problem is that when you've got these professional squads, they usually show up before the fire goes anywhere. So, you know, they got 6-minute response times. The reason that volunteer teams tend to fight more big fires is because the response time stinks. So
right. They're coming from wherever they were, going to get the truck, then going.
Yeah, right.
That's
why they have the old saying, "We've never lost a cellar hole." And because these professional squads, they're waiting in the station.
Right.
They get the call, bang, bang, they're out the door. They got their gear on, that whole thing. I'm jumping around looking for my boot by the time they're at the fire.
But the fact is, there was a fire started by a fireman, so it's not unbelievable that could happen. But it's unbelievable that it would be some mass conspiracy.
I'll tell you what the conspiracy is. Smokers throwing their butts out their windows. There's your fire conspiracy.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. However, if we did have private fire insurance or private firefighters, then they would have less of an incentive to start fires because it would cost them, I would think. Free Talk Live.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
If you're looking for work, you know the math. There are many more applicants than openings, so you need to stand out, not blend into the blah, blah, blah your interviewer is hearing from your competition. Here's a tip. In your interview, you will be judged more by the questions you ask than the answers you give. Yes, do anticipate the obvious job interview questions and prepare concise, insightful, glass-half-full sounding responses. And you should interview your interviewer. Seem genuinely curious about what will help get results. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. You want to cut through the clutter. For more tips for job seekers and making all the other conversations you have more productive, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $5 higher at $1,271 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents higher at $17.71 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $632. Robertson Roberts has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. Call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
I was in the military for 31 years, and I hear all this talk about the draft and defending freedom and all that. From my perspective, as I'm ex-Navy, I never defended anybody's freedom, American or anybody else's. I was a hired thug for the U.S. government. It's just propaganda put out by the government, and it's we're the best and the brightest, and all of that just makes me ill because of all the millions of people that have died because the American military is all over the world. There's nobody attacking us. I mean,
Our government is like every other government. It's run by degenerate psychopaths that are power mad, and I have no clue what goes on inside their mind, but it's nothing good.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll free here. Bring up anything you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If we get a chance, we'll play some debate audio and comment as we see fit. We will go first, though, to your calls and thoughts. Oh, also, I want to tell you about Monero. Roger Ver, who is an early proponent of Bitcoin, he's also a libertarian, an entrepreneur, and a peace activist. He's been predicting great things for Monero. It's a cryptocurrency with robust security and privacy features. Plus, unlike almost every other altcoin out there, Monero was actually built not off of Bitcoin's code, but indeed from scratch, which makes it special. And another thing that makes it special, it's been begun trading on the dark markets, the darknet markets, and to some extent, that's one of the ways that Bitcoin got an early boost back in the day. Ver has predicted a market cap for Monero as high as $1 billion in the near future, and Jax.io, our favorite wallet, it's incorporating it into the Jax wallet. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live. You owe it to yourself to become educated on Monero. We're not going to tell you to buy Monero, but Mark and I both have a little bit of it, and you should take a look and decide for yourself.
Yeah, we did make the advisory to buy Bitcoin, and I'm confident in that buy, that advisory. But as time's gone by, I'm a little less likely to just suggest somebody make a move. Financially, I like Monero, but you need to investigate for yourself.
So we'll get to your calls and thoughts. We'll go to Max. He's in New Hampshire. Max, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how are you doing?
This sounds like Max Abramson, the Libertarian Gubernatorial candidate here in New Hampshire. Is that right?
That's right. I just had 2 polls come in last week, putting me now at 6% in 2 different polls.
Wow.
And they're both scientific polls. Yesterday, though, I wanted to mention, I went to the League of New Hampshire League of Women Voters of Nashua, and we had a pretty good crowd. Unfortunately, neither of the other 2 gubernatorial candidates bothered showing up, even though they were invited.
Wow.
And I was allowed to speak for about 4 minutes on drug policy, which was my main reason for running for governor in the first place.
Excellent.
So what'd you have to say?
I was able to talk about everything from Jesse's Law, which is a bill that I put in that would have allowed a Gloucester-style angel program everywhere in the state where addicts are able to go ahead and turn themselves in. But I also talked about how the bill would have allowed 10 different solutions for 10 different counties. Now, we've talked, and actually the Constitution Party's even gotten involved, and a lot of conservatives have gotten behind the idea of 50 different solutions for 50 different states. That means getting the federal government out of the war on drugs and going back to the way we did things before, where we just took care of problems at the local level. That's been the main thrust of my campaign, is working to solve problems locally.
Does that go well here, or do people like the idea of solving it themselves, or do they think the feds know best?
Well, that particular group was a disproportionate number of older Democratic women, and that really sounds really scary and far out. The idea of having limited government kind of terrifies some of them. But we had a lot of younger people there, too, and they were very open and very receptive to what, for many of these high school students, was the first time they'd ever heard the idea of taking care of problems locally instead of letting the state legislature just make a joke of things.
Good for you, man. So you went to an event where the other major candidates were invited and they didn't show up.
Right. And I also attended another great group of about 75 students at Merrimack Valley High School. And for them, it was also the first time they'd heard about constitutionally limited government, the idea of limited government, which is kind of at the core of libertarianism and has been at the core of libertarianism since the idea was developed hundreds of years ago, that the role of government should be as small small as possible, and that government itself should be as decentralized as possible. Now, we're also talked about Teen Challenge. We talked about some of the other faith-based programs and private programs and the success of diamorphine clinics. And most of the people there didn't realize that other countries are tackling the drug problem, and most Western European countries have taken the libertarian approach, which is stop building more prisons and making more arrests and SWAT raids. And they are moving resources into treatment, recovery support, prevention, and using persuasion and education instead of using coercion or using force to try to solve social problems.
Have you been getting many media requests at all?
I have by radio, but not as much by TV. I haven't been on TV since NH1 had us on in that story a couple of months ago. But I've tried to get onto Channel 9, and I've tried to get onto some of the other networks, and I've attended absolutely every forum and every debate between the other two candidates. Now, the other two candidates, people are asking, why are they both for Obamacare Medicaid expansion, even though most people are not? Why are they both confirming all of Hassan's pro-Common Core nominees to the Board of Education? Why are they both giving $549,000 to Planned Parenthood of Northern New England, which is actually a Burlington, Vermont political action office? They've been presenting the story as though it's money going to clinics, but we don't know that any of that money is going to New Hampshire clinics.
So why is that, Max? Is it because there's not a dime's worth of difference between the Republican and Democrat?
Well, in the State House, there's quite a bit of difference. I ran as a Republican, and I voted with the New Hampshire Republican platform, which is certainly more in keeping with the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and limiting the power of government. But between Sununu and Van Ostern, I can't see a difference except that I think Sununu is against the commuter rail system. Other than that, they've been voting the same way over and over and over again on the Executive Council, even though the other two Republicans have been voting for smaller government. Sununu's been voting with the two Democrats for bigger government every single time, and that's actually hurting both of them because they're both pushing the same thing. One of the other issues that I've tried to talk about was the wrongful conviction of Chad Evans and a number of other cases, and the Executive Council is supposed to reopen cases like that where you have people serving life in prison for crimes they might not have committed. Seth Bader, Robert Breeze.
Now, the Executive Council in New Hampshire is not something that's present in every other state. It's basically a group of 5 or 6 people that, to some extent, can act as a check on the governor and a check on spending. So getting liberty-minded people elected there is also a good idea. So, Max, where can people go to learn more about what's going on with your campaign?
Well, if they want to come in person, if they're in the New England area, we're having an anti-corruption rally at the State House in Concord on noon Saturday. But if they're out of state, then the best place they can go is my website, which is just maxabramson.org. I'm the only one who opposes Common Core and the only one who supports legalization of cannabis. And if they can't spell the name, they can go to the Free Talk Live website and just click on my ad. It's on the right side of the page.
There you go. Any other questions, Mark?
Thanks for the support. I've got to say you're absolutely right. The difference between the Democrat and the Republican in this election seems to be the Democrats' obsession with a superpowered choo-choo that nobody wants.
Hey, thanks, Max, for the call. Good luck, man. Keep us in the loop on any developments in the campaign. I mean, the fact that you're polling at 6% seems pretty unprecedented, but I haven't really followed closely any other polls that the Libertarian gubernatorial candidates in the past might have been a part of. I know that I think in past elections, Libertarians here have gotten around 2%, which hasn't been enough.
What's the threshold for
4%? You got to get 4% to become a major party in the state of New Hampshire, and so hopefully Max can pull that off. But it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, you need 4% to get major party status, but what we're going for is over 10% so we can get more notice and attention. Now, Sean Connor is running as an independent candidate in the congressional race, and he's over 20%. So this is definitely a third-party year. Gary Johnson's been
you could get a boost because of the sort of the attention being given to third parties at the national level. That could affect things, and hopefully then the Republicans and Democrats won't run back to the drawing board and up it from 4% to 8% or something like that for people to qualify. If you get like more than 4%, 5 or 6% or something like that. And of course, thanks for the call tonight, Max. I appreciate it. He's here by the way because of the Free State Project. This migration.
Max isn't a Free Stater.
He's not?
Nope, spoke to him today.
Oh, wow.
He was here before the Free State Project. He supports it and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But,
interesting.
Apparently, he's not allowed to, mention the Free State Project in his, stuff because he's not a signer.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine, too. As long as people come here for more liberty, I don't care what the reason is, whether it's the Shire Society or the Free State Project or anything. We need more libertarians to come to New Hampshire so we can actually have a chance at making more freedom in our lifetime. 855-450 free. You can join us here.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that, and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
on account. Now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but there's enough time for your call and your thoughts. If you want to join us here, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 450-3733. And should you wish to support Free Talk Live, you can do that by shopping with us over at Amazon. You go to shop.freetalklive.com, enter Amazon through the links you'll find there. If you don't do it this way, then you're not going to help us out. But if you go through shop.freetalklive.com, there's different links. There's Amazon UK, Canada, and US. You just click into the right Amazon for you, and then Free Talk Live will get a portion of your purchase price. Otherwise, Amazon keeps all the profit for themselves. If you go through shop.freetalklive.com, then they cut some over to Free Talk Live. It's that simple. It's the same great Amazon experience you're used to. So really, there's no reason not to take just the extra moment and go to shop.freetalklive.com. If you want to save that extra time, then just the first time you go, select the US, the UK, or Canada, and as soon as you land at Amazon, that first landing page, bookmark that URL. And then all you got to do is go back to your bookmark, because that URL's got our little code in it, and that means that they'll credit us for any time you go through that bookmark from that point forward. So start your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. As we go to the phones, to your calls and thoughts. Gene, the Christian anarchist, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, guys. I'm driving again, so I'll pull over here in just a second so the noise will drop down. But I wanted to call and say how much I love Wikileaks.
Yeah.
They're my favorite group lately. They started out with making all the people on the left happy when they were showing all the nasty things we were doing overseas. And now they're making the people on the left upset because they're pumping out all these emails about Hillary Clinton and what nasty things she's been up to. But the thing about WikiLeaks is it's free speech, and it's the best tool that we have to compete against the oppression that we're getting through these goons. And it's not the only tool, of course, but it's an amazing tool. I hadn't even thought about it until just before I called you that I haven't donated money to them yet. So tonight I'm going to be sure to go and donate money to WikiLeaks.
I think they take Bitcoin.
Yeah, they do. It's been a long time since I've given them money. I probably should do it again too. Now that you mention
they
it.
definitely do good work, and they don't
target Wikipedia some money.
And they target everybody. Anybody in power is subject to being outed by WikiLeaks. And Mark, you've actually got a related story to that tonight. There's apparently some Republican guy who is saying to Republicans, "Don't look at WikiLeaks."
That's correct. It's the Marco Rubio.
And they're trying to scare people into thinking that it's illegal to look at these emails.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just incredibly amazing.
Yeah, CNN, Cuomo on CNN actually said that.
It's insane.
Watch out, America. These things are illegal to look at.
Because I spend a lot of time in China. Of course, you guys know that, but I'm sure many of your listeners don't. And when I'm over there, the censorship of the internet, it just is amazing. I can't click on anything that has to do with politics. Not so much politics, but anything that has to do with liberty or anything that has to do with saying bad things about the Chinese government. I mean, that stuff is all taboo. You won't see any of that ever get through their censor net. But it is coming to the U.S., and this is the kind of tools they're going to use. They're going to say, oh, it's illegal to expose these kind of things. So therefore, I can see a day coming not too far from now when WikiLeaks will be blocked in the USA, because they'll just pass a law that says, well, if you're publishing data that came from some government source, then that's illegal, and they will either find the ISP providers, or they'll find a way to shut it all down. And I guarantee you it's coming.
Well, I hope you're wrong about that one, but your kudos are definitely well-deserved. WikiLeaks doing great work, releasing, I think now 19,000 emails from John Podesta's email box, who's one of the Democratic muckety-mucks working with Hillary Clinton, and it's just been an amazing couple of weeks so far. And there's still another couple of weeks before this election, so Julian Assange has promised to continue more info leaks coming up now, or coming up between now and then.
If there are any government officials listening out there that are thinking about leaking something, be sure to leak it to WikiLeaks, because the more dirt they get, the better. Because we need to educate people to what a bunch of phonies all these creeps are, all these goons are, and as soon as the people start realizing that they're nothing but a bunch of goons behind the curtain, just like in The Wizard of Oz, that's when we'll start seeing freedom again, because people will start to ignore everything they say.
Thank you, Gene, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Real quick, Mark, do you have that story about the politician Rubio, you said it was?
Yeah, Marco Rubio is, warning all the Republicans, hey, you don't want to talk about WikiLeaks. It's bad. Marco Rubio of Florida is warning his fellow Republicans not to talk about the WikiLeaks dumps of emails stolen from Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta, breaking with the example set by Donald Trump. I will not discuss any issue that has become publicly solely on the basis of WikiLeaks, said Rubio in a statement on NBC.
They're circling the wagons around the Democrats.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
They look. One thing that Rubio can agree with the Democrats on is that he deserves power over you. That we politicians deserve the power over individuals, and anybody who's destroying just the edifices of the state is terrible.
Well, right, and WikiLeaks may be the darling of the Republicans for the moment, but from the perspective of this Rubio character, it's a danger if Republicans start paying attention to WikiLeaks, because at some point WikiLeaks will put something out that'll be harmful towards Republicans' legitimacy, and that will hurt in the eyes, or hurt people like Rubio in the eyes of his followers in the Republican Party. So
at the very least, he's consistent on that, right? Consistency's laudable when you see it. He is consistently anti-information. He says here that our intelligence agencies have said these leaks are an effort by a foreign government to interfere in our electoral processes, and I will not indulge it. I don't care if whatever has been released is true. If it's the product of foreign spying, then it's bad.
And of course, he's suggesting it's Russia there, right?
Yeah. He didn't mention it by name, but that's it. The press has created
as though WikiLeaks would never leak anything about Russia, or hasn't ever. I mean, come on. I bet you they have.
They should. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to it. Russia's not my problem. I mean, Russia is a small blip on my radar. I don't think about them at all. I just hope that whoever gets into the office of president doesn't start some kind of nuclear war with them.
Indeed.
That's really the only thing I think about Russia regarding is that, hey, they've got nukes and Hillary doesn't like them.
Speaking of the office of the president, there is a debate going on right now. We haven't had much of a chance to share any audio, but here's some where they're talking about how fit they are to be president.
I did not say that.
Assaulted.
I did not say that.
In fact, he went on to say...
Her 2 minutes, sir, her 2 minutes. But did not say that.
It's her 2 minutes. He went on to say, look at her. I don't think so. About another woman, he said, that wouldn't be my first choice. He attacked the woman reporter writing the story, called her disgusting, as he has called a number of women during this campaign. Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity, their self-worth, and I don't think there is a woman anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like. So we now know what Donald thinks and what he says and how he acts toward women. That's who Donald is.
This annoys the crap out of me.
I think it's
this whole, I stand for women and children because they're so much better than men. I mean, it's just so vile. Hillary Clinton, I mean, there's women out there that really hate the fact that you have 2 X chromosomes like they do. Stop it.
Where we don't want to have the kind of pitting of people one against the other, where instead we celebrate our diversity, we lift
like Hillary Clinton's bringing people together and helping others.
There's no candidate like that on the field.
Because America is good. And it really is up to all of us to make that true now and in the future, and particularly for our children and our grandchildren.
Well, America may be good, but the government is definitely not.
Has more respect for women than I do. Nobody. Nobody has more respect. Please, everybody. And frankly, those stories have been largely debunked, and I really want to just talk about something slightly different. She mentions this, which is all fiction, all fictionalized, probably or possibly started by her and her very sleazy campaign. But I will tell you, what isn't fictionalized are her emails, where she destroyed 33,000 emails criminally.
I love how he keeps bringing it back.
After getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. What happened to the FBI? I don't know. We have a great general, four-star general.
We're out of time for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
Foodforliberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, New Manna is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.66 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $640. Antiwar.com reports questions about Wikileaks founder Julian Assange's sudden disappearance from the internet over the weekend sparked a flurry of speculation, including some particularly wild theories about Pamela Anderson poisoning him on behalf of the Clinton campaign. On Tuesday, the government of Ecuador revealed that they were responsible and that they had cut Assange's internet access because of the Wikileaks release of emails from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, arguing that they did not want to be seen as interfering with a presidential election. The details of this decision are unclear, but the Clinton campaign has been heavily campaigning on the idea of WikiLeaks' release being a Russian plot to elect Donald Trump, and the Obama administration has repeatedly presented it as an attempt to influence the election, so it's likely that the U.S. pressure was involved in Ecuador's decision. WikiLeaks reports that Ecuador cut Assange's internet access almost immediately following the organization's release of paid speeches Clinton gave to Goldman Sachs. The group has insisted that it has contingency plans in place and that Assange's temporary loss of access will not impact its operation. Ecuador granted Assange political asylum in 2012, citing calls from U.S. officials to assassinate him. He has been staying in the Ecuadorian embassy in London since then, as Britain is seeking to arrest him over a Swedish warrant related to an ongoing investigation and has not let him travel to Ecuador from the embassy grounds.
In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake Security Company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
UPI reports crews are battling 3 fires in Colorado that have scorched thousands of acres and prompted evacuations. Warm weather and high winds are fueling the fires. 2 fires are south of Denver, the Junkins Fire and the Talcott Fire, and 1 is west of the city, the Freeman Fire. TJ Steck, fire chief with the Elizabeth Fire Protection District, 46 miles southeast of Denver, told the Denver Channel, "We don't have a fire season. The fire comes at any time of the year for us." In the case of the Junkins Fire,